shoplift bread, meet the wheel, offend the crown. Congratulations. Your travel itinerary now includes severed and widely distributed. History did not whisper punishments. It treated them like public service announcements with extra bones. Today, we're diving into 10 of the worst tortures and punishments ever used. Some fully documented, some better known for their reputation than their receipts. Think of it like walking a museum with a clever friend who knows where the bodies are buried and which plaques are overconfident. Ready? Let's step into the town square, because punishment used to love an audience. Fact 1. The breaking wheel. Documented. Europe's meanest logistics problem. The condemned person was tied to a wheel, then an iron bar shattered limbs in a choreographed sequence. Afterward, the body was woven into the spokes and hoisted up like an advertisement for authority. It is tempting to imagine chaos, yet this was not improvisation, it was policy. Cities treated the wheel as a message you could see from the road. If the wheel was a billboard, England built a marketing campaign. Fact 2. Hanged, drawn, and quartered. Documented. Reserved for treason, this wasn't one punishment, it was 4 with a commute. First, you were drawn, dragged on a hurdle through town to the scaffold, then hanged until nearly dead, then disemboweled and beheaded, then quartered. Parts traveled to busy spots to remind everyone that the state had long arms and an even longer memory. People sometimes ask, why so theatrical? Because states learn early that control runs on stories, and nothing writes a story like ritual. If England built theater, Imperial China wrote a slow poem about the cost of crossing the line. Fact 3. Ling Chi. Documented. Abolished in 1905. Often translated as death by 1,000 cuts, Ling Chi was a sanctioned execution method. Reality check. The number 1,000 is not literal, and the wildest modern retellings overplay the gore. What matters is the intent. Public humiliation, prolonged suffering, and a powerful warning delivered in front of witnesses. Executioners managed time and technique. The crowd understood the message without needing a cartoon. Which brings us to a method whose name announces the plot twist before you feel it. Fact 4. Impalement. Documented, though records vary by source. The method shows up in accounts from different regions, including the Ottoman world and stories linked to Wallachia. The basic idea is a stake, a body, and gravity. Entry points and angles differed, sometimes chosen to prolong life for hours or longer. Folklore inflates numbers, because folklore never met a zero it didn't like. But historians find enough references to confirm the practice existed. This is the moment when many viewers lean back from the screen. Take a breath. The human body is resilient. Policymakers have often taken that as a challenge. Fact 5. Strappado. Documented. Tie the wrists behind the back, pass a rope over a beam, and hoist the person up. Drop in jolts. Repeat. It is a joint's worst nightmare. The damage could be permanent. Strappado shows up in early modern interrogations and trials. It did not require elaborate tools, just a rope, a beam, and the belief that your suffering spoke. In many records, the point was not truth, it was submission. The ocean, however, had its own rules, and its own way of enforcing them. There is no jail cell on a deck, and mutiny is a full boat problem. Fact 6. Keelhauling. Documented. Rare. Contrary to cartoon exaggerations, keelhauling did appear in some naval regulations. The sailor was tied with ropes and dragged under the ship's hull, scraping against barnacles and timbers. Injuries could be severe, and drowning was a real risk. It was rare, partly because it was a great way to lose workers and morale, but its existence tells you how seriously discipline was taken at sea. Back on land, not every punishment aimed to destroy the body. Some aim to erase a person's standing. Enter the town's favorite group activity. Fact 7. Pillory and public shaming. Documented. Stocks and pillories immobilized you, while the community administered commentary. Food, insults, sometimes stones. It sounds minor until you imagine hours in the weather, exposed to whatever the crowd brings. Many people suffered infections and injuries, but the real goal was social. You were paraded as an object lesson. Humiliation does not leave scars that the camera sees, but it rearranges lives. When humiliation failed, authorities reached for final answers, dressed as morality plays. Fact 8. Burning at the stake. Documented. In different eras and places, burning was used for heresy, witchcraft accusations, or crimes the authorities framed as threats to the fabric of society. It combined execution with pageant. Smoke, fire, bells, proclamations, and a crowd watching a story about purity and danger. Do not let the ritual obscure the reality. The person at the center burned. The lesson landed like ash. Now we hit two famous items that the internet loves, yet the sources wobble. Great names, thin paperwork. Fact 9. The Blood Eagle. Contested. Saga literature describes a back opened and ribs spread like wings. Many modern historians read this as poetic or later moralizing, rather than a standard Viking procedure. Could someone, somewhere, have attempted something similar? Humans have range, but reliable, period-appropriate evidence is scarce. So, enjoy the metal album art, but file the practice under probably not routine. Fact 10. Scaphism. Contested. The story goes that victims were trapped between boats, slathered with honey and milk, and left to insects and decay. It is cited in later texts, and elements sound similar to exposure punishments that did exist. Yet the classic, cinematic version does not rest on strong contemporary sources. As with the Blood Eagle, a vivid tale is not the same thing as solid documentation. You can separate a documented method from a viral legend, and you can explain why the difference matters. Because, in the long argument between fear and justice, spectacle always asks for the microphone. Our job is to ask for the sources. Across continents, punishments were advertising. The medium was the body. The audience was everyone else. When we study the past carefully, we make it harder for cruelty to hide behind ceremony. If you want more history that is sharp, fast, and honest about ugly things, hit subscribe, tell us the next myth to stress test, and share this with the bravest friend you know.